Okay, so a lot of you guys have been asking, where do I get my beads from, and what products I use for different things, such as this hoop earrings. The beads I use for this is actually size 13s, um, Charlotte cut beads. So these are cut beads, Charlotte cut. So you can see here it says size 13 Charlotte, and this is a medium light purple. So you can see if I hold it just right, the light will actually kind of catch and dance off it. It's actually an odd color to do this with. So if I go with this other color, depending on the color and what you use, will kind of dictate how much shine comes off the bead. So this blue here, it does give a lot more sparkle. This is a size 13 Charlotte Blue Iris. So it does look like oil. It has an iris color, multicolor bead. Metallic finish. So this is what I get from, I use majority of what I do here. So this red, you can see here, the red, orange, yellow, white, those are all 13 Charlotte hoods. What else I use with this? These are actually 15s Miyukas. Let me show you an example. So, Miyuka, size 15, round. This one is a luminescent crystal pink icicle. Comes in 25 grams. I get this from my local bead shop. I'll leave the links in below where I get my beads. Also, as well as Toho beads, size 15, round. Higher metal, metallic, grape, 10 grams. So, purple. So the Toho and Mayukas I do use. So it's a combination of both beads. So the Mayukas are from Japan. You can see Japan, Japan. Turn it a little more. Japan are from basically Japan. They are nice. I mean, you're more uniform if I'm using for the application I'm using now. Oops, I dropped my other side of my earring. So here it is more uniform here in this section here because it's all the Japanese beads, the Miyukas, and Toho. So they're roughly the same size. They're slightly different by like 0.01 millimeters. It's so different. This one's kind of off here, but I can just push that over. There we go. Wow, close enough. Well, those are the seed beads. That teal is a seed bead actually, so it kind of misshapen and odd. A little hard to get those lined up straight, but the Delicas, not Delicas, the Mayukas and Tohos are more similar in size. So here's the size comparison. The gold there is right here. I think it's Toho. I'm not sure. My mother-in-law got this from me, so it doesn't have a name on it. It just has the color on it and size. So it's 13. As you can see, it's a little different than the. Kind of grab something to show you guys. Lead pencil. So the Mayuka here, you can see it's one size. Check it, get a zoom on it. It's one size, it's round, it's very uniform. You can pick up as many as you want, and then you go with the toe, that purple next to it. As you can see, it's slightly smaller, but the same width. So if you go and start getting them up on your beads, it's just ever so slightly the difference, but diameter wise, they're both the same and they're very uniform. Opposed to the Charlotte Katana ones I use. If you take a close look at them, I just dropped a bunch of them. If you take a close look at them here, they're very irregular. So there's some that are thinner, some that are bigger. So not really recommended if you're doing kind of what I'm doing, because it does have a bunch of irregularities. Excuse my language. But I'm so used to working with them that I do make them seem like they are uniform. But they do give a real nice shine. These are glass beads as well. But these are 13s, 15s. They're both the same size, even though they have this different sizes together. So here's a size reference. So the Toho, the purple, the matte black Miyuki, the 13 teal, I'm guessing that's a 15 Miyuki, 13 Delica, and this back the other way so you can see. You can use them all together. You can blend your beads if you want, just as long as they're the same size. But if they're different sizes, they can work that way as well. But those are just the 15s and 13s I have that are the same size, and that's what I mainly use a lot. I do have a bunch of these tubes, but if you're going to a bigger size, most people, when they start out, they go with a bigger size, such as these here. So this is a size 11 cut bead. So if I turn it this right, you can kind of see it cut in the bead. I don't use these often, so they're just laying around. And next to that one is a size, just a general size 11 seed bead, compared to the 13. It is quite smaller, like a third smaller. I do have them laying around here and there. This is what I started out when I first started beading, was the 11s. They are bigger. They do take up more space for beading wise. You don't get as much detail, but you do get the beads. So I don't know, the 10s are really big, so you can see how big they are in comparison to the 13. So if a lot of people use 10s, when you ask them about their bead size or what size they use, so then you know what you're getting. So size 10s are quite big. I don't use them because I'm not used to them anymore. I got used to using 13s. But same thing as well as the 15s. You gotta know if it's an actual 15 or if it's just a regular Japanese 15. Because some people can say 15s, but they'll give a different description of the 15. So this here is a 15 Charlotte cut, true cut 15. Not just, so you see, seed bead, true cut 15 seed bead. These are smaller than your. They look similar size, but they're actually smaller. You can see right here. Now I got two colors the same, but you can see a difference in the color shine in the 15 compared to the 10. It is significantly smaller, and I can grab on 11. This yellow here is an 11, and it's still small. But compared to the Japanese 15s, they are still big. So these up here are Japanese 15s, Toho 15s. Compared to the True Cut 15s, it is still smaller. So if they say 15s, ask them if they're what kind of 15s it is. Japanese cut, Japanese Miyukas, Tohos, or if it's a True Cut seed bead 15, because seed beads are different in those two different sizes. As well as these Tohos being size 15, they do make them in a bigger size as well, which I do have them. So right here, So 11. These ones you can tell a lot more than the 13s or the 15s and 13s. They are roughly the same size, just ever so slightly different, but in these two, you can tell the size when you're working with them. So let me give you an example. So there's this pineapple, luminescent pineapple Miyuki. Then I'll go with this neon luminescent orange and the Toho. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but get my little pin. I use needle, but I think I have a little more control over. So I'm just going to bring them both together here. And they look very similar, but one is ever so slightly wider. These are colored on the inside. So the Miyuki there is the one in the yellow. It's slightly thinner. And Toho is next to it there, which is wider. I mean, if you're doing something on a loom, that will make a big difference because about 4 Tohos will probably make about half of a Miyuki. So if you're doing something on a loom, make sure that's using the same bead. That's why they use Dalicus on loom work. Or stay with your consistency with the beads. But they do come in, these Japanese beads, they do come more vibrant than your seed beads. They have a lot more color, matte blacks, luminescent, neons, a lot of variety in just the color that you can get from your standard generic regular beads. So I do use a lot of seed beads for what I do, but I do use 15s in combination of both. I'll leave a link below. I mean, this is kind of a short explanation of beads and how they're used. So for these, I used Charlotte Cut 13s, and these I use Charlotte Cut 13s, and the 15s because I kind of just blend the beads together. These ones here are mostly 13s, so you can see that in it. The green in there, and yeah, the green in it, the lime green, is a Miyuki. But the rest of it is all Charlotte Cut 13s. So you get more vibrant because these are an opaque bead compared to these ones. These are translucent and they are a Miyuki and Toho. So you can see that one. These ones are all 13, so you get more brighter, more vibrant. And you just taper off a little more because they're translucent. But it's all your preference. You can still use 11s on these. You can use 13s on them. You can use 8s. Whatever beads you're used to, you can use on making these. But the more detail, you can go smaller. But that's just my short explanation on beads. I'll do a little more in-depth video on this. I'm just trying to get a rough overview because people ask me, where do I get my beads? What beads do I use? And this is what I use. It's not really an overview of the beads that are a whole out there. So these go together. So hopefully that helps you out on the beads I use, and I'll put, like I said, description below of the little beads I get and where I get them from. And thank you guys for watching. Later.